Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to make a simple DIY forever wreath. First you're going to need the 14-inch circle wreath form from the Dollar Tree. And you're going to need 2 rolls of the burlap ribbon. This is the one that more resembles linen than that open weave burlap. You're going to need some clothespins for your bows. And then you're going to need all different kinds of seasonal ribbons for your bows. I know that they're not all available now, but this is one that you can make now, and then as each season comes along, you can go ahead and make a bow for it. Then the next thing we're going to need is glue gun and a scissor, because you always need a scissor. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start the underside of our wreath, and we're going to glue the corner of the beginning of the ribbon at about a 45-degree angle to one of the center ribs of the circle. You want to make sure you keep it at a 45-degree angle, and then you're going to glue it and make sure the glue is cured before you start wrapping. It just takes a few seconds. And it really is going to be the easiest wreath you've ever made, because you're just going to continue wrapping at a 45-degree angle. It is really that simple. It is so easy. And then after a few passes, we're going to turn over and we're going to see our spacing. So you're going to want to have it overlap almost halfway each row, so that we don't really get to see that wire through the light, because you might hang this over a window and you really don't want to see the wire form. So you're going to just overlap just about half, and then you're just going to continue the whole way. These 2 ribbons that I'm using actually both had a little bit missing off of them, so I had to fudge the numbers at the end sort of, but one length should go halfway around your ribbon with that little bit of overlap. There's no math involved in this one, folks. And you're just going to keep going until you get to the halfway point. So when you get to the end of your first ribbon, which I said it should be about halfway, you're just going to turn the wreath over and you're going to glue the new ribbon on top of the old ribbon and just continue like it was one continuous piece. If you're ever fortunate enough to get this type of ribbon in an 18 feet long, you'd only need 1. But for us, we are going to glue and continue wrapping just the same as before. So you can see I came to the end of my ribbon and didn't quite make it to the back to the beginning, excuse me. So I just went back and I went and spaced my ribbon out a little bit. I did start to get a little tight at the end there, so it's really, I'm spacing it evenly as it should be. But I'm just going to fix it, and there's no right or wrong way. Like I said, the 2 full 9 feet of ribbon will fit, the whole way around the wreath. But this was just because I had used it for another project and didn't, want to open 2 whole new ones when I had 2 that were already open. So when you get back to the beginning, my trick that I like to do is when I turn it over, you're going to glue the end of the ribbon to your beginning point where we glued it to that rib. And then when I turn it back towards the front, you're going to tuck the end piece underneath the first piece. This just takes a tiny bit of maneuvering. It does make it look like one continuous, I don't know where the start and end of this ribbon is, wreath. So that's what really makes it, a little bit more special. And this wreath is for people who do like sort of the minimalist country look. The traditional burlap wreath is very poofy and very full and not everybody's style, but this does give you that rustic chic sort of a feel because it does have a nice clean line to it, but that burlap material does definitely make it just that little bit special. Then you're going to go ahead and just adjust your layers around and see if everything looks uniform. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to tie on a hanger. I just happen to have a piece of this jute laying around really close to me, so that's what I grabbed. But you can use ribbon. This Forever Wreath is for my sister. Shh, don't tell her, it's a surprise. So I'm going to give her a hanger, but my Forever Wreath actually hangs on a hook. I don't have a hanger on the back. I use one of the over-the-door hooks that matches my house. So you can choose to put on a hanger or you can choose to put it on a over-the-door hook. It's your choice. But you guys have seen me do this before. You're just going to loop it in half, tie a knot on one end, and then you're going to put the loop end through the knot end so that you end up with a pretty loop without looking at some scraggly knot, and tuck it around a rib. And there you have it. And that's what the wreath looks like without any embellishments. But now we're going to go ahead and make some seasonal bows. So first you're going to take your clothespins and whatever ribbon you start with. Let's start with Valentine's Day since that's the season that we're in. I have a bow tutorial already on my channel. I'm going to link it in the description down below so that you can go ahead and get a more in-depth idea of how to make these bows. But these are sort of the most simple bows in the whole world. What you're going to do is you're just going to cut 2 loops of ribbon, or 1 depending on which kind of bow you're making. The width of the ribbon, the width of the bow that you would like to have. And then you're going to fold the middle of the loop like an M, and then you're going to take a piece of ribbon that's going to become your tails, and you're going to use it to tie around the middle of your loops, and it becomes your tails and your mid. And then you can go ahead and adjust it accordingly. Maybe you want your loops shorter or wider, or they're uneven, or just zhuzh it. I love the word zhuzh, that's what we say. So just zhuzh it, and then you can finish it any way you want. The ribbons that have one good side and one wrong side, or one right side and one wrong side, make sure that the printing is facing you. And with wire ribbon, you can manipulate the tails and they'll pretty much stay wherever you want them. So what makes this bow different is we're going to use these clothespins, and we will eventually glue the clothespins on the back, but an option is that you can slide the clothespins underneath the knot of the ribbon if you want to use that to interchange it. And then you're going to use your clothespins are actually what's going to attach your bows to your wreath, which is what makes it a forever wreath, that you can change your seasonal bow out from holiday to holiday or season to season. Now you can see here the way that the wreath is wrapped. We're gonna, even though it looks tight, you can get the clothespin under the layers. So what you want to make sure is when you go ahead and attach your clothespin, you want to make sure you decide where you want your bow to be. depending on the holiday, you might want a cute little bow on the top for Valentine's Day, or a fancy bow tie looking bow for Christmas. So the position you put your clothespin is going to depend on where you want your bow to be on your wreath. So you see, for Valentine's Day, we put it up at the top. Now we're going to make a St. Patrick's Day ribbon. We've got this green burlap from the Dollar Tree, which is also the burlap that looks like linen, just like the one we just used. And it does have wire on it, and that's really the technical difference between both burlap ribbons that they carry at the Dollar Tree. One has wire and one is a very loose type of burlap. So what we're going to do for this one is we're going to take 2 loops of identical lengths, or you can make one a little bit longer, but I like them to be identical lengths. And you're not going to pinch the M together like you would do in a regular 2-looped bow, but what you're going to do is you're going to pinch each M separately, because once we stack this bow, we're going to separate the loops. And if you hang on, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So when you go ahead and tie your tail on, and now we're going to pull the top layer loops up towards the ceiling and the bottom layer loops down, and we're kind of creating a 4-leaf clover effect. We're also going to cut the tails both at the same angle, which normally you would cut them at opposing angles, but we're going to cut them at the same angle. And then once we attach it to our wreath, we're going to pull them down to almost look to resemble the stem of a 4-leaf clover. Of course, it's just not supposed to look exactly like a 4-leaf clover, but it's just supposed to give the feel of St. Patrick's Day. So here I'm going to show you how we glue a clothespin to the back of the bow. I know that sounds silly, but that's what we're going to do. The trick that I like to do is, depending on how you want your bow to look on your wreath, you want to position your tails. Either they're going to go straight across, they're going to go up, or they're going to go down. But you want to do that before you go ahead and glue. And then you're just going to put some glue on the clothespin and glue it to the bow. I like to put my fingers inside the 2 loops that are closest to the clothespin and press down on the surface that I'm working on, so that we get a nice good seal across the whole clothespin. For the spring one, we're just going to take the loose weave pink burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree. We're going to make just a regular bow, but then we're going to take some more of that and we're going to make a ribbon rose. Now, some of you may not believe it, but this is actually my first ribbon rose. But I've watched thousands of tutorials, so it really came super easy. But what you want to do is you want to start at the end of the beginning of your ribbon, and you want to fold it again in like almost a 45-degree angle, and you want to twist it to make sort of a little tube, like the rose, the center of the rose. And then as you wrap the ribbon around the center, when you start to get towards the top, you want to fold the ribbon down onto itself at a 45-degree angle. And this is what's going to create your petals. And as you go along, you're just going to continue the same thing. You're going to twist your center, wrap your burlap ribbon around your center, and as you get higher than the center, then you're going to fold it over, and you're going to keep this maneuver going for the entire width, for the entire size rose that you want. I made about 5 passes, I believe. I went around about 5 times. And then when you get it where you want it, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to glue it. So now you're going to turn your rose over so you can see the underside. And my trick is just to squeeze as much glue as I could down the center so that all the layers would eventually get some glue on them. And then I take the next end that's coming off of the ribbon and I fold it over the hole that I just filled with glue, and I glue that down. And then I cut the last piece in like a circle form, like with an arch on it, so that could be the last petal of the rose, and then I glued it down. And you want to just give this a second to cure and dry, because it really does take a second to hold together. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make leaves. We're just going to take the green burlap from the Dollar Tree. And guys, I know you know me, I just have extra of everything laying around for crafting. So we're going to just take about a 5 or 6 inch piece, fold it in half, and cut leaf shape out of the double piece. We're just going to keep the fold end attached about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. You don't need to measure requiring. It's just going to help you help it glue to the underside of the rose. So you turn the rose over, you glue down your 2 leaves. I not only glued the center, I also glued a little bit up each leaf so it would give the look that I wanted. And now we're going to go ahead and attach it to the bow. And this did take a lot of glue because the rose comes out to be not very heavy, like, but just heavy for the little bow. So I let it cure for a minute or 2, pressing all the time. And then added the clothespin and attached it to my wreath. here I just noticed that I actually glued it a little off center, so while the glue hadn't quite cured yet, I just peeled it off, threw on some more hot glue, and repositioned the rose in the correct spot. And there you go. There you have it. And for Halloween this year, the Dollar Tree came out with this black and orange chevron burlap ribbon with wire. I grabbed up 2 rolls, had to, because you never know. And this is, again, you get to see the basic double bow in the tutorial linked down below. The only season I didn't have appropriate ribbon for was for like 4th of July Americana type holidays. But I promise I'll find her something. I want to apologize ahead of time. The camera wasn't recording when I made the flower arrangement, so I wanted to take you step by step through it. So these flowers were from the Dollar General on clearance last year for 75 cents after autumn. But they do sell hydrangea at the Dollar Tree. So the first thing I did was I ripped the circle off of one of the ends of the ribbon reel that I was done using, and I glued the hydrangea's leaves to the circle, and then I trimmed some of the white just around the leaves. Then I went ahead and I cut the whole bunch of hydrangea together, glued them to the front with a lot of hot glue, and just let it dry, and it stayed really well, as you can see. And then I just positioned them where I wanted them and glued the clothespin on the back, and that's it. There you have it. This last one is just a Christmas bow with this Christmas burlap type of Christmas ribbon that was at the Dollar Tree this year. And this is basically a simple 1-loop bow. You could see it in the tutorial. Well, that's it. I hope you liked this tutorial. If you did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and ring my bell and share with friends and family. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Take care and God bless.